So if you haven't been keeping up with this story, I'll give you a summary. I worked as a waitress at a diner for the past 6 years. I've been kind of stretching, so I'm going to tell you about them. Also about them. Anyway, Jay, Loretta, and I were waiting around as usual when the door opened at 11 at night. Jay and I got up to greet our customer. We heard sobbing, which stopped us in our tracks. Jay and I looked at each other confused. We looked back at the customer. There was a woman wearing a white gown and had a veil on. However, I don't think it was a wedding dress. Is everything okay, ma'am? Asked Jay, sounding uncertain. The woman stifled. No. Well, what happened, if you don't mind me asking? I asked. In between heaves, the woman said, I lost my sons. She started sobbing again. I'm sorry, offered Jay. That was when I felt someone grab my arm and I was being dragged backwards along with Jay. Oh, it was just Loretta dragging us to the kitchen. Jay and I ended up walking into the doorway. Ow! I exclaimed. Loretta shoved us through the doorway and blocked the door with her body as we stumbled backwards. Have I mentioned that she's 6'3"? She's obviously taller than us hobbits. We can't have her, exclaimed Loretta. Why? Asked Jay. She's La Llorona? Exclaimed Loretta. Come again? I asked. She's a woman who had drowned her sons in a river after her husband left her, said Loretta. I grimaced. Why can't she target her anger towards the person that deserves it? And why can't we serve her? Asked Jay. She drowned her sons in a river, exclaimed Loretta. She's a cautionary tale that parents warn their children about going out at night. We're warned that if we're outside late at night, she'll take us and drown us in a river. And you say that the Irish are strange myths? Said Jay. Like I said, it's just a cautionary tale, said Loretta. Besides, do either of you have any nieces, nephews, or cousins? I haven't talked to my brother and sister in 2 years, said Jay. But then he looked like he thought about something. I take that back. I talked to my brother at a store a few months ago. He started talking to me and my first thought was, oh great, the junkie's talking to me. How did he look? Asked Loretta. Like crap, responded Jay. Well, he looked a lot better than the last time I talked to him 2 years ago. I assume he got clean and then went back to the heroin. He shrugged. Loretta looked at me. I'm an only child and I'm not particularly close to any of my cousins, I said. It's funny how after a bad experience your family leaves you behind. My parents believed me and were there for me, but I hate how they look at me like I'm going to fall apart at any moment. Well, we can't just ignore her, said Jay. She's a customer after all. He went to the front door. Legend also says that if she meets a man, she'll kill him, mistaking him for her husband, said Loretta. Jay turned around. That actually doesn't surprise me at all. Well, I'll see what it is she wants, I said. Oh, you mean besides kidnapping children and drowning them in rivers? Asked Loretta sarcastically. I went out to the dining area and found La Llorona sitting at the bar counter. She had her face in her hands and was now wailing. It was heartbreaking and terrifying to hear. I actually considered running back inside the kitchen. I walked to La Llorona and looked at her. She was sobbing again. Do you want anything to drink? I asked. She didn't say anything, which was expected. So I went back inside the kitchen and got a cup. I filled it with ice and water, and I walked back to the dining area and placed it beside her. She managed to pull herself together and look at the cup. And so then she grabbed and proceeded to toss the water in it in my face. Oh, I hated her immediately. I went back inside the kitchen. So, are you, going for the running makeup look? Asked Jay. She threw water in my face, I said. I grabbed some paper towels and started drying my face off. And I had to wipe my makeup off. La Llorona started wailing again, and I considered going out there and telling her to shut the hell up. Jay started to go to the door. Where are you going? If you go out there, she might kill you, said Loretta. Might, Jay pointed out. He went out into the dining area. Loretta and I looked at each other terrified. 2 minutes later, Jay ran back in and held the door closed and held it shut with his body. And then he locked the door right as La Llorona ran into it. She was now screeching and hitting the door with her hands, just trying to get in. Loretta went over to him to help him keep the door closed with her body. Like I said, Jay and I were hobbits compared to her. And so I'm like, what happened? And he's just like, well, I handed her a napkin and she tried to stab me in the shoulder with a butter knife. And, well, she didn't take it too kindly when I ran away from her. I guess she thought I was supposed to stand there and just let her stab me over and over with a butter knife. So I'm like, oh crap, and I go to the back door and block that with my body just in case Llorona decided to be smart and search for a back door. Don't you know you're supposed to be a gentleman and let women walk all over you? Or murder you? I joked. Oh, forget my manners, Jay replied. You two are out of your minds to be casually talking about Llorona while she's trying to kill us, said Loretta. I thought about it. Oh, right, this is the first time you've been attacked while on the job. Congratulations, declared Jay. You're now an official member of the family. Who attacked you the first time? Loretta asked me. I was 17 and I somehow pissed off some elves and they tied me to a street lamp outside. They tried to set me on fire with an unlit match, I said. I was oddly fond of that memory. Rabid little stupids. Loretta looked at Jay. What about you? I was 18, said Jay. He pushed back his hair and pointed at the scars on his neck. That stupid vampire. He rolled his eyes. So, like, all quietly, Loretta's like, oh. Llorona was alternating between screeching, wailing, and sobbing as she hit the kitchen door. It was one of the most obnoxious noises I have ever heard. And that was how Loretta, Jay, and I ended up staying all night in the kitchen until 4 in the morning before Llorona finally left. Good times.